All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Couch Warrior podcast. I'm your host, Mike, as usual. And today for episode 33, pretty crazy to me, 33, we're breaking down UFC Vegas 61. And today we're joined by a very, very dope guest. We've got somebody who I've been watching since day one. Hey. I know you guys have, anybody who's listened to me knows that I've been listening to Clint since I first started watching UFC, like betting on UFC. And Manpreet was right after, introduced to me by Clint, and he was somebody I've been following since. So, Manpreet, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it big time. How are you, brother? Are you excited for this card?
I am mad excited, but first, let me just touch on that great intro that you just hit me with, man. I greatly appreciate that, man. I really love it when people like go back to like the earlier days and then they even come to this point where they're doing their own content now. So it's amazing to see guys, starting off as listeners and then going out there and doing their own thing and trying to create something similar. And seeing me as an inspiration is like I don't take that for granted at all. I truly appreciate everybody that says that to me. And I was just talking to my wife the other day in regards to that. Like I am at a certain stage in this game right now where people are saying that about me, and I still don't feel that way. I really don't feel that way. Like I feel like I'm still a noob in this game and still learning every single day. So I truly appreciate the support. I truly appreciate the love. Shout out to our guy Addicted to Combat in the comment section as well. That's another motherfucker that's going out there and doing amazing things as well. So I love to see it. I love to see you guys taking it seriously. Keep killing the game, keep consistent, keep pushing out content, and you guys will be exactly where I'm at within a certain amount of time. I'm sure I'll get there. There's never a specific deadline we can put, but just keep at it and you'll eventually get there as well. But in regards to this card, I'm psyched for it, to be honest. Like after running the tape and all that stuff, I was surprised at how many quality matchups there actually are here, at least from an entertainment perspective. So, this is Wednesday night before fight day, and I have like 5 bets already made. I might make a couple more, so I can't wait to discuss them with you and see if we line up on some of them, see where we go. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. I have most of my bets placed, but I'm looking at props now, so I'm hyped to talk about them with you. I brought up this message from Pat. He loved the panel shows with Locke, CJ, Bleed, and Guru. And honestly, like, that's such a flashback for me because I just remember when you guys, I don't remember what banner it was under, but you guys kept doing these shows. Clint was involved. I know that Guru was involved. Bleed. That was awesome. That's literally when I started first watching. So it's very funny that Pat brought that up.
Yeah, odds.com, man. That was a good time, honestly. Like that was like my first big exposure to like the mainstream type of stuff, and not mainstream, but like at least getting a wider audience. And I get that a lot, man. I see that a lot, and even my own streams, people are saying we missed that show, that Friday night 9 p.m. Me, Cody, Bleed, and Guru, fun times. Odds.com was such a great time. I'll always be indebted to them for giving me a platform. But I guess RIP odds.com since they're around. No more.
Well, you've been killing it since, brother. Thank you for everything. Thanks, and let's jump right into this card.
Let's go.
So for this first fight, we've got Randy Costa versus Guido Cannetti. Costa's 6'3", he's 28 years old, 5'9" with a 73-inch reach, and I do have him training out of Lausanne MMA. Locke, I know that you are very good with a lot of these camps and where people are fighting from. So if at any point I'm incorrect, please just correct me. I work off of Instagram usually, so that's the best I got.
But that usually doesn't let you down. So
yeah, but if you know better, I know you know a lot of the camps, a lot of the coaches. By the way, that show you do with the coaches, I don't know if you've been doing it recently, but I love that stuff, man.
Yeah, so good. I gotta get it back on track for UFC 280, but I've been keeping track of the coaches' picks. Right, the whole point of that show is to have these coaches go up against each other. And James Krause killing it right now. Just passed on. I didn't nail down it last time.
I was about to ask you about James Krause.
No, they're definitely still involved with the show, but I've had a lot of scheduling issues in regards to them. But I've definitely prepared well in advance now for UFC 280, so I should have at least 3 of the 6 coaches on for that episode. But love doing that one as well.
That's awesome. Real quick, while we're on the topic of 280, I do want to plug this. I'm very hype about it. I have a 280 panel coming on for UFC 280. We're going to do me. We're going to have Wiz Betts on there. We're going to have Uncle Weezy pulling up. We're going to have Liam Picks Fights. And we're going to have Pat from Addicted to Combat earlier in the chat. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be a good time. I'm on Islam, so I fully expect to get roasted and pushed back on, and it's going to be a good time. So I just wanted to plug that real quick. But let's get back to this card. On the other side, we've got Guido Cannetti. He's 9-6-0, 42 years old, 5'6", so he's 3 inches shorter, with a 68-inch reach, so he's got a 5-inch reach disadvantage. And Locke, why don't you start us off? And I'm going to take a bong rip meanwhile.
I love it. So in regards to the gym that Randy Costa is fighting out of, it is listed as Lausanne MMA, as that's where he initially started. I was just quickly trying to just go through his IG here to see where he's at. But the last gym that I know he was involved with, at least an MMA gym, was the Sanford MMA, or Killcliff FC.
My favorite. I felt like you were going to say that, so I think I might have seen that also.
Yeah, but it also looks like he's working out of a American Combat Gym now. That's kind of what I've been seeing over the last couple of weeks. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's the gym that Charles Rosa. Yeah, it's a gym that Charles Rosa, Daniel Marcos are out of. It's like a little known gym out there in Florida. Charles Rosa, another former like ATT big gym guy as well. But in regards to this matchup, man, this is a great way to kick off the card. This is a way to really get I guess there's no crowd, and so apparently Mike Zuckerberg's trying to get up. I heard that's bullshit too, but regardless, a great way to start off the card, great way to get the viewership rolling. Costa, very dangerous early in his fights. I believe every single one of his wins are in the first round. His hands are fucking off the chain. He has big power, throws in good combinations, uses his head kick very well. One of the him in the first round is championship material, and I'm not even exaggerating at all. But then for some reason at the 4, 5, maybe even 6 minute mark, this guy hits some sort of wall. Like his confidence goes down the drain. His cardio goes down the drain. It's insane that he has such a steep drop off, even after having tremendous success. Watch the Adrian Yanez fight, right? That's a fight where Randy Costa's messing him up the first 4 minutes, and then he just falls off this cliff, and Adrian Yanez takes over and finishes him in the second. So he's lucky that he'll have such a speed advantage here over Guido Cannetti, where he'll likely be able to get to that chin and knock him out in the first round. But should this somehow get into round 2, Guido Cannetti is more than freaking live. You know, round 2, Guido Cannetti is sitting at plus 1,800, worth a little bit of a sprinkle considering the upside of that potentially happening. But I think the most obvious outcome and the bet that I like the most here is the under 1.5, which I got at minus 155. But more than likely, it's going to be a round 1 Randy Costa knockout. And then we can go back to fading Randy Costa later on. Like, if you want to take a small sprinkle on Guido Cannetti at plus 240, I don't hate it. But it's one of those spots where it's like you could live bet it. Just wait to get in on the second round and get in on Guido there. So you know that you've dismissed the major threat from Randy Costa early. And then you get in on Cannetti. But under 1.5 is where I'm going with. That's it. A Randy Costa round 1 knockout. I think that's what's going to happen.
So, Manpreet, I don't know if you've ever watched my stuff before, but I love beating, not even my stuff on Twitter. I love beating lines. It's my thing. Yeah. I watch this stuff like a hawk, and you beat the line, brother. You said minus 155 or minus 150?
I got minus 155. Last time I checked, it was minus 165. What's it at now?
It's minus 170 now and climbing the other way. So you killed it, and I totally agree with you, man. I mean, you broke this down really well. Like, realistically, we all know how this goes, right? Randy Costa is a great striker, but he just blows his load too early every single time. My thing is, he's young, and I do believe in young fighters improving. I do think he's going to improve over time. Is it going to be right now? I don't know. I do think he wins. I put him in my round robin. It was originally a 4-piece round robin with him. I'll talk about the other ones, but the only person who dropped out is Cody Garbrandt, who kind of messed it up, but it's all right. But anyways, look, I'll say this. You brought up that, Guido's not a bad bet if you want that plus side. If I played Guido Cannetti, I'd be playing him by KO because I don't see how else he wins this. And right now, he's plus 700 by knockout on Bet Online. And I bet you money that FanDuel is going to give you like plus 800, plus 1,000 maybe even. So
what is that? Sorry, what is that Guido? Do you have those odds pulled up right now?
Yeah.
Well, what's Guido by decision?
Guido by decision is
like plus 1,000, right? Minimum.
No, not even plus close. 15. Plus 475 on Bet Online, which is very weird.
Interesting.
That's a bad line, I feel like. It doesn't make any sense.
Like, there's no way you should bet
no one's
that.
going to bet that. Yeah, no one's
Yeah.
going to bet that.
Weird. Okay.
Ripson picks saying he'll be on the under 1.5, like
Yeah.
you said, and Cannetti live after round 1.
Smart man,
Makes
Ripson
sense.
picks.
Makes sense. I'm on the round, like I said, I have Costa on the round robin, but there's a reason I didn't play him money line like I did with Barcelos and Brown, who are also on my round robin. And it's because if we get out of round 1, I'm going to be sitting there like this. So I'm going to be careful here. Played him on my round robin. I believe it's about a 2.5 unit stake. I do think Costa's better by far on the feet. I mean, grappling wise, we don't really have to talk about it. Neither of these guys is grappling. And on the feet, you really have to favor Costa, right? He's got the size advantage here. He's taller. He's longer. He's 3 inches taller, 5-inch reach advantage. He's 14 years younger. I mean, the stats got to be screaming at you, Costa. At the end of the day, we're not all stats here. We know that doesn't work. We just watched Gianni get destroyed for a season over statistics. Like, I was not a part of the Gianni hate. I still love the guy.
I love the dude.
I believe in him. I think he's a good gambler.
Yeah.
I don't think that a season defines us. It just sucked that he had to take it how he did.
But that's a tough spot to be in, man. It's
someone brought this up, and I thought it was a really good point. He has to place a bet or he has to give a bet for every single fight.
Yeah.
And like us as like gamblers, we know like if you want to do well, you have to sit out certain fights.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have that choice.
Not just that, but he doesn't have the benefit of getting like better lines by betting earlier. Like he has to bet the line that is available right before the fight starts, essentially. So like given his statistical approach, a lot of value usually gets sucked out on a guy and he's usually forced to take the other side and all that, right? So I get his stance as well. Yeah, it's a tough thing to do. It really is a tough thing to do, but I know he's going to be around. The UFC is not going to get rid of him. He's good at delivering his.
I don't think they should.
He's good at delivering what he needs to say. He knows the terms. He knows everything. Like he has the connections. That's the guy. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry to say for people who don't like him, I like the dude. I've been on his show. He's been on my show.
Agree.
Like I've had nothing but positive interactions with this guy, and that's usually how I judge people. Is like, how have we been with each other? I don't really care what other people say. How we've been together, and
yeah, man, and like literally every other season he's done well.
Yes,
I used to watch him on Clint's podcast. I remember he took I don't remember the names off the top of my head, but he got a bet straight on. It was his most confident bet. He hit that stuff. Long story short, stats do matter sometimes, and I do think that size in particular matters. So yes. I do think that Costa wins this fight. It's probably round 1 knockout. That prop has no juice on it, like no meat on it whatsoever. It's let me pull it up. Costa round 1 KO is plus 105. Like I personally wouldn't play a line like that, but it doesn't make sense. But all right,
it's under, baby, under. Let's go get that.
Yes. I think that's a move, and I might hop on myself. Except I don't love minus 170 at this point. But
-1. Oh, by the way, quickly, just looking at that, the fan voting under their tail of the tape. Go back down to Costa and Cannetti.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
See, it's 89% and 100%. Usually, like shout out to our guy at Prodigy MMA, who always puts out a tweet, like kind of putting the fan votes from Tapology into odds, and those are dead on with what they are. Sorry, wow, Am I a little baked right now? Maybe, but
you should be.
The Sodiq Yussuf fight. I remember seeing it was like dead on, where it was like minus 990%. I'm like, makes sense. Well, we'll talk about that fight when we get to it. But a little baked here, Mike. A little baked. We all good.
Good. I'm gonna light this up soon too. So I'll be. I've already joined you, but I'll be catching up.
Yeah,
but yeah,
perfect.
man.
I love it.
You said Prodigy.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Give him a follow. Prodigy MMA. I followed the same account. Yeah. He does post those, and they're super dope to see. He puts like the little eyeball emojis when it doesn't make no sense. I love that stuff. But
yes.
And it's like interesting, right? Like to see like how many, because Tapology, in my experience, the way it works is you hop on, you go to the event, and if you don't know who's gonna win, you just look at who else everybody else voted for, and you hop on
So
the fucking train.
Like you think it's herd mentality, essentially?
I do think that the majority of Tapology votes are herd mentality. just based off of my own experience, because I know I've pulled up events and I was like, all right, he's going to win. They're going to win. They're going to win. I don't know. What does everybody else think? And then I just put that in. So
this is one thing I'll quickly say. Like, I know a lot of people that like they'll look at the odds first, and then their mind is already predetermined by knowing a certain fighters are the favorite. So once they do the tape, they're like, oh yeah, of course, this guy's really good at that, or this guy's really good at that, and then they kind of just disregard the underdog and automatically take the favorite. I highly suggest, if you do your own tape studying, if you do your own research, do not look at odds. Do the tape study first, create your own line, and then look at the odds. That's what I do. That's what I did for the entire Contender Series as well. And I've been learning from that and continuously doing it now. But like setting that line is very important. So you can be like, why is the market so high on this guy? Or why, like, yeah, there you go. Little insider baseball there.
I mean, on that topic, man, if anybody watching this, if you followed me on Twitter at Couch Warrior Pod, for the entire Contender Series season, except one episode I missed, I posted what I thought the odds would be, not should be, because it would be very different if I did what they should be. I did what I thought they would be, based off of hype, based off of what I saw, based off of topology, all of those things. And like it did really help me figure it out. Personally, I used to also do that strategy of like not looking at odds before you break it down.
Mm-hmm.
And like I found for me, like I do it the opposite of what you were talking about. Like if I see someone's a big dog or like a plus 200 dog, I'm like, I want to see how I can bet them, you know?
Yeah. Of course. There's that way of going about it as well. Like the Cannetti, like I didn't bet Cannetti, right? But like you're like, you can make an easy case for this guy to win at plus 240 for sure, especially with the holes that we see in Costa's game.
Wow, a lot of people liking that Cannetti round too, honestly. Might have to look at it myself.
Odds are worth it.
But let's move on to this next fight. All right, we've got Julija Stoliarenko versus Chelsea Chandler. Stoliarenko is 10-6-1. She's 29 years old, 5'7" with a 69-inch reach. And for her camp, I've got Fighter House locked. Do you know any better?
In terms of picking a side here.
No, just about the camp, I mean.
Oh, the camp for Chelsea Chandler.
No, for Stoliarenko. How good is that pen, man? How good is that pen?
No, Mike, you know what I was thinking while you were doing the intro for it? I was just thinking about Chelsea Chandler, and I'm like, for some stupid reason, I'm like, she should make her nickname Handler. Chelsea Handler Chandler. I'm like,
she should. That would be fire. That's how you know you got a good pen, bro.
So Julija Stoliarenko, from what I know, she trains out of Lithuania. She doesn't train at like a specific gym. I think she might even have her own gym over there. But yeah, she's training in Lithuania.
All right. Locke, I love you, man. This is great. This is awesome. But all right. So on the other side, we've got Chelsea Chandler. She's 4-1-0, 28 years old, 1 year younger. She's 5'8", so 1 inch taller. She's got the same reach at 69 inches. And I have her training out of what it says on Tapology, Caesar Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes.
And I'll start this one off. Yeah, I'm looking to bet Julija Stoliarenko. I'm probably going to get on there for like 2 units, 2.2 units. And for me, it really comes down to this. Chelsea Chandler's only okay on the feet. And Stoliarenko's also okay on the feet, but she's actually been looking pretty good. She put Alexa Davis a little bit out of her comfort zone on the feet, which was pretty weird, but great if you're going to back Stoliarenko in the future. And you can't deny her submission grappling, right? You just can't. Like I bet against her in her last fight, and she proved me wrong once again. She hit her 9th submission win. I'm pretty sure every single one of those is an arm bar. And you know what? I'm not going to doubt her anymore. Anytime she fights a wrestler, I'm going to bet her. And she's fighting somebody who on the feet is only okay and grapples. And if she grapples Julija Stoliarenko, I think it's going to be a big mistake. So I'm probably going to be playing her money line. I don't know what I'm waiting for. I'm probably going to do it tonight. And I'm also looking at her sub prop. Her sub prop is sitting at plus 300 right now. I'll wait for FanDuel because FanDuel tends to really open those lines up crazy. Honestly, we say they're crazy. They're smart because most of those big prop money bets lose. and they make them look delicious.
Yeah, it depends on like how often you're able to hone in on the ones that
It's
do
hard
come through.
to it's hard to hit plus 1000s and above.
Yeah.
You know, it's very difficult.
Yeah,
but
it is smart now that I'm thinking about it. I guess in the long run.
Yeah, but for me, it's Stoliarenko here. I'm probably going to play her for 2 units just because, look, if she's on the feet and she's winning, right, Chelsea Chandler is going to get uncomfortable and have to grapple. And if she grapples, she's in danger. And then if she chooses not to grapple, I haven't seen enough to suggest to me that she's going to be the better striker. So that's where I'm at. Manpreet, what are you thinking, man?
The first time I came across Chelsea Chandler, it was actually when Castaneda was ready to fight Olivia Parker, which was Chelsea Chandler's second last opponent. That night in July 2020, Chelsea Chandler dropped Olivia Parker with a beautiful combination and then followed up with a rear naked choke. And Olivia Parker was fighting Castaneda, like I said, and I believe her next fight or second next fight. And I saw the under 2.5 at a really good price. I'm like, if this chick is doing that to this 42-year-old Olivia Parker, maybe Castaneda can do the same thing. I forgot the line that I got, but
tell me you got plus 200, Manpreet, please.
I didn't get plus 200, but I got
that's where it opened.
Number. Was it plus 200?
It opened at plus 200. Can you believe that?
Sorry, for which fight?
Stoliarenko Chandler under 2.5.
I was saying for the Olivia Parker and Castaneda.
That's
when I hit up Chelsea Chandler. I'm like, hey, Chelsea, I know you're one of your last opponents is fighting Castaneda. Do you think that she could, beat her as easily as you did? She goes, easy. That's the only message I've ever gotten from her. And I made the bet that night and it cashed with relative ease as well.
Nice.
So that's the first time I came across her. Then I started to, see her career and stuff. She's a Cesar Gracie girl. She's like, from Stockton. I'm sure she's trained with Nate and Nick every now and then. Maybe not like steadily, but I'm sure.
Is that who they trained under?
Yes. Cesar Gracie was the guy that brought the Diaz's into jiu-jitsu and all that. But Chandler, she still looks too raw to me, right? Like she looks like somebody that still needs some polishing and still needs some work. She's still young in her MMA career. She hasn't really fought the best like competition even, right? The Courtney King fight was super close, right? That was a close fight as well. Now Yulia Stoliarenko, way more offensive minded, way more dangerous, especially in the jiu-jitsu realm. Although I do think that Chelsea Chandler's jiu-jitsu will be good enough to kind of stay out of trouble for the most part. But I think at a certain point, if Stoliarenko keeps going and Chandler can't do anything about it, Stoliarenko will take over, and I think she'll be able to finish her a little bit later on in this fight. Shout out to my guy Tristan in the chat. Stoliarenko, like you said, 9 wins out of 10 total wins via submission, specifically armbar. She is the Lithuanian Ronda Rousey. We need to build a mirror of her. She is legitimately the Lithuanian Ronda Rousey. I've been calling her that ever since I started studying her.
I've heard that before. It cracks me up every time.
Bro, with that many armbar victories, you got to give it to her.
It's pretty crazy, right? It's crazy.
So it's live for her here. I'm just scared that Chelsea Chandler, the way she's been finding success in some of her fights is by pushing her opponents up against the cage and bullying them. Like she's a thick girl, right? She's not like I'm not saying she's out of shape, but like she's strong. And I think that she could potentially have those moments against Yulia against the cage. That's what's ultimately keeping me away from the bet. But I do like the Stoliarenko side. I even like the plus money on the under 2.5, considering how much Stoliarenko goes for finishes in her fights. So yeah, the pick would be Stoliarenko via sub, but I have no action on this myself.
Yeah, neither do I yet. I think I will though. And one other thing I wanted to add, like recently, at least for myself in my breakdown process, I've started to consider this. If a fighter has shown me that they have that dog in them, I'm going to listen to that. And I bet against Julija Stoliarenko before, and she's proven me wrong. This woman has that dog in her, and she's fighting a woman who's making her debut. So, those factors add up for me, but we're on the same side. So let's move right along. Let's see who we've got next. We've got Maxim Grishin versus Philipe Lins. We're only going to get this fight if Philipe Lins decides to pull up. Oftentimes he decides not to come to fights, so we don't know. But Maxim Grishin is 32, 9, and 2. He's 38 years old, 6'3", with a 76-inch reach. And in terms of his camp, I couldn't find anything, so I went with Akhmat Fight Club. Felipe Lins on the other side is 15-5-0. He's 37, which was shocking to me. I could have sworn he was like 29.
I said the same thing on my podcast.
I could really, I could have sworn he was 29, man. I was like, wait, what the fuck? He's 37?
Bro, sorry. I'm like in
No,
my
no,
breakdown.
go.
I'm like, the only thing that's kind of scaring me off Grishin is like he's 38 years old, right? And then I click on over to the Philipe Lins side, I see 37. I'm like, I guess Philipe Lins is no spring chicken either. I told it like for some reason I thought he was 29 or 28 as well, exactly like you. Sorry, continue. Fucking
yeah,
hilarious.
no. Real quick, I wanted to answer Herb Dean as the gold standard. Love that name, by the way. Is there a reason I'm staying away from Bellator? Yeah, it's literally just money reasons. I'm just waiting for money to come through on my Bet Online account because that's the only website that's taking these bets right now. Slowly, we're getting other sites. I know FanDuel is offering it, DraftKings now. Probably after this show, I'll be dropping a Tokov bet. I'm going to give you guys a breakdown video on Friday, so I ain't going to talk about it much now. But yes, I got bets coming for sure. I already parlayed McKee and Pico with a guy from 1FC, Saigid. He's one of Habib's boys. Check it out. But yes, I'm on Bellator. I've been saying off simply for money reasons, but I'm going to be on there soon. And yeah, so me personally, I'm on Maxim Grishin here. I played him for 3 units at minus 155. I just think he has Felipe Lins covered. Look, I was on Felipe Lins his last fight. I felt that everybody overlooked him. Everybody hopped on this Felipe Lins hype, not hype train, the opposite, hate train. And, I was looking at him and I was like, listen, he has good hands that he just hasn't used in the UFC yet. He has decent grappling, which he just hasn't used yet. And even though he looked pretty not great in his last fight, he did use those weapons that I expected from him. But I just think he's covered here. Like, as good as his 1-2 is, I think Maxim Grishin can cover him there. He fought Dustin Jacoby, who I think is a better striker. And personally, look, I'm biased. I had a Grishin ticket in my hand at that time. But I did feel like he won that Jacoby fight. I feel like that's not a very controversial take. And I just feel like what's Felipe Lins going to do? Is he going to take him down? I mean, William Knight got him down, I believe, off the top of my head, like 3 times. But I talk about this all the time. William Knight is terrible, but his strength changes everything. I mean, that muscle, every single time, like the Brundage fight, But whatever, that's a different fighter. I just think that Maxim Grishin can handle Felipe Lins. I have him for 3 units at minus 155. I don't love this new line. It's like minus what, 175, 180.
Yeah.
Not great, but I do think he wins. How about you, Manpreet?
I'm largely on the same side as you here. I just didn't get to the window and actually bet Grishin though. Like, I don't know, just something in the back of my head's like, let me just sit back and watch this, right? This is the second walk to the cage for Lins at 205 pounds. He seemed to be slowing down quite heavily in the 3rd round, even in his last fight against Pacquiao, but like he just had a little bit more in the gas tank than Pacquiao. Grishin likely better gas tank here, but we could see a Lins where maybe he's mastered his weight cut now. He's really gotten into this routine where he's living that 205-pound lifestyle. So we might see a better version of him as well. So just too many question marks personally on the Lins side for me. And then again, mixing in the fact that he's 37 as well, like just a weird fight overall. But from a complete skill set standpoint, and somebody that likely has more paths to victory, Maxim Grishin is probably the guy. I mean, I think this is going to be his 44th professional MMA fight. Dude's been fighting since 2008 all over the world, fighting Alexander Volkov way back in the day as well too. But tremendous experience, more tools. He should get this fight. I like the line that you got more than the line that's available. Like, I'd consider it a little bit more at minus 155, but yeah, I believe that Grishin is going to get it done here.
Yeah, man. My thing is, like, I agree with everything you said. Like, if Felipe Lins was actually like the age I thought he is, I feel like I'd be on him here. But once I saw he was 37, I was like, all right, he's not having those young guy improvements. Like,
the one thing that we can say though, like at these heavier weight classes, you can get away with being a little bit older. Like you can get away with being into your 40, 41, 42, but only for like against a certain level of competition. Maxim Grishin, you can get away with being 37 in my opinion, but like Magomed Ankalaev, no, you can't get away with being 37 against a guy like that.
But all right, we're on the same side, so we'll move right along. Next up, oh, this one's a good one. We've got Brendan Allen versus Kryzstof Jotko. Brendan Allen is 19-5-0. He's 26 years old, 6'2" with a 75-inch reach. And I know he trains out of Sanford MMA. I refuse to call it Kill Cliff. I don't know why. I just don't like it. I know that's a new name, but I just don't like it.
It doesn't roll off the tongue as nice as Sanford MMA.
Like, I've always said this on my show. Sanford is my favorite camp. Like, I think they really are just so good. Like, they round out their guys so well. I'm not calling them Kill Cliff. I'm calling them Sanford. But on the other side, we've got Jotko. He's 24-5-0. He's 33 years old. This is the 33rd episode of the Couch Warrior podcast, so take that as you may. He's 6'1", so he's 1 inch taller. He's got a 77-inch reach, so he's got a 2-inch reach advantage. And I have him training out of, I believe it's American Top Team. 1 second.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it's American Top Team. So, Manpreet, why don't you start us off for this one, man?
I've never really been a guy that understands the Brendan Allen love. Like, cool guy, fun fights, good entertaining style, but like I never really think that he's worth that minus 300 price tag that he's usually at. I bet it once, and that was like closer to the beginning of his UFC career. I think it was the one against Kyle Dawkins, and that's the one that kind of opened my eyes to be like, he probably didn't deserve to be minus 300 here. Like, of course he still won, but it was a closer fight than it should have been. Then even last time, he got the dub against Jacob Malkoun, but that was a close fight as well. Like, there's a good case that Malkoun won that fight. Now here, this is a completely different stylistic matchup, and this is the type of guy that I think gives Brendan Allen issues. A guy that's a very good striker with good takedown defense, solid durability as well. I think we'll see Jotko just touch up Brendan Allen from the outside, give us one of his like patented, disciplined type of game plans. Actually, like the last fight that he had, beat a former teammate of Brendan Allen when they both used to train in Milwaukee at Rufus Sport MMA. He beat Joe Mearshot that night, and he just showed the same game plan he needed to do here against Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen striking is just like big head kicks, pot shotting, no real combinations, mainly to just throw power to either try to knock you out or try to get in on a takedown and get you out. Like, he's never really just throwing combinations just to stay active essentially on the feet. Jotko, much better striker, will be able to maintain that range in my opinion and keep Brendan Allen off of him. Strickland got him down a couple times, but he was able to get right back to his feet. Expecting the same thing here against Brendan Allen, and then from there he should be able to touch him up. I think we'll get a Jotko decision, but I don't mind the money line either. I personally got in at minus 118. I think it's around minus 120-ish now, so taking a smidge of action, but I'm expecting that line to maybe get to minus 125, minus 130 by fight time. But I like me some Kryzstof Jotko, and also that's a fucking sweet Dragon Ball Z tattoo that he has on his arm. I'm not sure if you were a Dragon Ball Z guy, Mike, but that was definitely something I used to watch when I was a kid.
Unfortunately, not so much, but I did want to bring up real quick. So I looked it up when you mentioned it. Jotko by decision is plus 110. Actually, no, plus 150 on DraftKings. That's, I guess, better. But plus 110, I was going to say, is not that much better than his money line. You said, what did you get on your money line?
Minus 118, so pretty much minus 120.
Yeah, so I think that's good. I mean, look, we disagree. I'm on the Brendan Allen side here.
All right,
finally.
Let's go. Let me hear this out.
This could be because I'm biased. I've always believed in Brendan Allen. I thought he's the shit. And then I had to learn the hard way that his fight IQ is fucking terrible. It's terrible. I thought he'd beat Chris Curtis by a margin, and he got knocked out. I thought that he would make Malkoun look easy, and he arguably lost that fight. I mean, I had a ticket on Brendan Allen, so I'm going to say he won, but it's arguable. So I definitely get everything people are saying, but at the end of the day, he is young. And he is out of a really good camp, like we mentioned, Sanford MMA. And Jotko has just been so limited. Like, if you show me that every time you fight, you're going to take this fight to a decision, I'd rather take the guy who I think can finish you. Like, do I think Brendan Allen's going to submit or knock out Jotko? Not necessarily. But I think that if anyone's going to finish the fight, I think it's going to be Allen over Jotko. If you tell me it's a decision for sure, I'm going to think it's Jotko probably. I took Allen for 1.5 units at plus money. I got him at, I'll tell you guys right now. And like, I want to pull it up because I do think it's important, because I think if you can get Jotko at what you got, I think that's also a really good bet. I do recognize the threat of Jotko being just too well-rounded.
Yeah.
I got Brendan Allen at minus 115, not plus money, 1.5 units. I thought that was a good bet, and now he's plus money. So if you agree with me, take him now. But I totally get the Jotko argument. He's super well-rounded. I do think if you're going to take Jotko, like, take that plus money. Like, who has he finished? And has he finished anyone like Brendan Allen? No, he has not. So if you're going to take that side, that's what I think. But we'll move on to the next fight.
By the way, I'm kind of surprised that the topology is so much in favor of Brendan Allen there, especially.
Oh, wow. I actually didn't even notice that.
So it's not massive, but still, like,
no, that's pretty big, right?
That'd make him like minus 150, essentially, if those were the odds. Crazy.
No, I don't agree with that. I feel like Allen should be the underdog. But
popularity, brother, popularity. That's what topology seems to be.
For real. But all right. So for this one, we've got Joaquim Silva versus Jesse Ronson. Silva's 11-3-0. Another 33-year-old, 5'8" with a 69-inch reach. And for his camp, let me double check. I've got American top team.
Yep.
And then for the other side, we've got Jesse Ronson. He's 21, 11-0, 36 years old, 5'10". He's 2 inches taller, 70.5-inch reach. So what is that? 2.5-inch reach advantage. And I'll start this one off. So like I mentioned before, I listen to Clint all the time. I know what he's talking about. I remember when he bet Jesse Ronson. So did I. I agreed with him completely, and we got destroyed. So it was definitely a learning lesson there. But yeah, I'm not betting this fight. I'll start off with that. I'm just not going to bet this one. The one side I am looking at is the under 2.5. The under 2.5 is sitting at minus 140 right now on Caesars, minus 145 on Bet Online. I don't see this fight going the distance, realistically. Like, if you made me pick a winner, I don't know. I just don't know who's going to win this fight. I really don't. But if you told me pick violence or not violence, I'm picking violence. And minus 150, I like it. I think that either of these guys could finish the other. I don't think much of either striking. Jesse Ronson probably has a striking edge here. He's coming down from welterweight, but he's fought historically at lightweight. So it's like not like he's just coming down here. And Silva, super inactive. Don't love that. Got knocked out by Ricky Glenn. You know, Ricky Glenn gets overlooked a bit, but like getting knocked out by him is not a good look. That's why I just don't want to touch this. I think if I had to pick a side, I'd pick Ronson, I think. The size, the power. I think if anyone's going to get a knockout, it's going to be him. But I'm not going to pick a side. I don't know who wins. I'm probably going to take the under here. How about you, Manpreet?
I'm a big Jesse Ronson guy. You know what I mean? Fellow Canadian. His gym is maybe like 2 hours away from me. I've kind of been close with that gym, Adrenaline MMA. You know, the late great Sean Tompkins that used to be his gym. And we have that small sect of Ontario fighters like Jesse Ronson, Chris Hordetsky, Mark Hominick, Sam Stout was probably the most famous one. So I'll always have a special place in my heart for those guys. He fought on one of the shows that I actually used to work up here in Canada, Score Fighting Series, where he fought Ryan Healy. One of the best fights I've ever seen live. Crazy fight. But that just showcased to me that night, like, this guy's striking is legit. Like, he is a fun, dynamic striker. You know, his nickname, the Body Snatchers, for real. Like, he loves kicking the body. He loves taking guys' souls away through that. Vicious striker. We see it on full display when he can, you know, drop guys like Dalby and then follow up with the submission choke. But his bread and butter is the stand-up. That's where he does his best work. And considering that Joaquim Silva, you know, this guy's been knocked out in his last 2 fights, not a good look going into this one, right? But the Achilles heel of Jesse Ronson's game, and the reason he has yet to secure a legitimate win inside the octagon, outside of the win that he got over Nicholas Dalby that has changed now to a no contest, was when guys can grapple him, when guys can get him to the ground and they can get that submission game going. Neto BJJ, Joaquim Silva, you know, his striking is good. It's decent. He has big power, but like, obviously he's going to be outstruck here by Jesse Ronson, and he's got to know that he needs a dub here. Otherwise, he's on the chopping block. He's likely going to get cut if he loses this fight. I think it would be his third one in a row. And he sees the clear Achilles heel in Jesse Ronson's game. The takedowns. Get this guy to the ground. Look to get your submission game going. You could potentially get him out of there. But if he cannot get him out of there, Jesse Ronson will likely snatch that body as well and get another KO on his record. My prediction is Silva by submission, but my bet, you've touched on it, Mike, the under 2.5. I got in at -135. I'm seeing it around -140. I think this is a violent spot. This is a violence bet. Give me blood. I'm hoping it's my Canadian that catches that ticket for me, but the prediction has got to be with the Silva side, given his grappling edge.
Yeah, the only thing I would mention is I was listening to, I believe this is Wheezy who brought it up. Silva's lost to 2 southpaws in a row, and this is the third one who's got the striking edge over him. So the only other thing I'd consider, but like Manpreet said, like I said, I think the under is the spot here. I think they're both going to finish each other, and I'm surprised that we're not getting like -200 here, honestly. You said -130, -135. That's madness to me. That's a great line. But
let's go.
Let's move right along. All right, this one's been hotly debated, and I've seen such strong takes here. We've got Jessica Penne versus Tabatha Ricci. Penne is 14, 6-0. She's 39 years old, 5'5" with a 67-inch reach, training out of Alliance MMA. Tabatha Ricci on the other side, she's 7-1-0, 27 years old, so she's 12 years younger. 5'1", she's 4 inches shorter, 62-inch reach. She's got a 5-inch reach disadvantage. And I know she trains with Mackenzie Dern over at RVCA. Am I correct over there, Manpreet?
Yeah, Ruka, and sometimes she's been spending time in Arizona at Siege MMA with our guy Brandon Olivas and Santino DeFranco.
Nice. See, this is why I was hyped to have you on the show, because I know you know this shit. So finally, like, someone can like tell me what's up. But yeah, let's start with you, man. What are you thinking for this fight?
I really thought I'd be on the Baby Shark side here, like making her just a parlay piece or something, because I feel like there are other parlayable spots on this card. But after running the tape, man, it's a little bit discouraging that like her striking game is not really catching up to her jiu-jitsu game yet. And I think we need to see some more improvements in that before we can actually, be comfortable laying -210, -230 on her, whatever the hell she's sitting at right now. She is the better fighter right now. She's obviously, like you said, she's got that 12-year youth advantage, and she's a high-level black belt as well. This is a similar fight to the Poliana Vienna fight, in my opinion, right? Like both lanky, tall not strikers, but tall fighters that Tabatha has had to go up against. But Jessica Penne might be slightly more aggressive, especially when Tabatha Ricci looks to take this fight to the ground. It could even play out similar to the Lupito Godinez fight for Jessica Penne, where, sketchy decision. People, are very adamant that Godinez deserved to win that fight, but Penne was slimy enough in that fight to make it close enough for the judges for her to end up getting her hand raised. That could happen here against Tabatha, right? Like the way Jessica was just jumping on the back of Lupita just so flawlessly sometimes and getting some control time, that was scoring enough for her to make a case with the judges. I still lean on the Tabatha side. Like, I think her jiu-jitsu is good enough to deal with whatever Penne is going to throw out there. And I'm hoping that we see improvements as well from Tabatha tonight or this weekend. Better striking from the last performances that we've seen. And, maybe pick up a thing or two from what Emily Ducati was able to do to Jessica Penne. A lot of leg kicks, closing the distance, throwing combination, getting back out. Like, if she can show confidence in that, then she'll likely look her price tag. I just don't have the confidence that she will look that price tag. So she is the pick. No bet for me. Ultimately going to be passing on this one.
Yeah, man. So I'm loving this because you and me have a lot of really similar reads here. I came into this also thinking, all right, Ricci's going to be one of my round robin legs. Like, anybody who's been following me since day one, I've kind of moved away from it, but I used to round robin only. That used to be the only way I bet. And I'm getting back into it. I do like my round robins, and I was looking at Ricci, and yeah, I mean, I kind of think Penne might win this fight by like a dirty decision that people are unhappy with, kind of like you mentioned with Loopy. Look, Ricci has better BJJ than Lupi does, but Lupi is by far the better wrestler, in my opinion. By far. It's not, in my opinion, it's not close. And Penne gave her a fight. She didn't just get bodied. She gave her a fight, and she won that fight on judges' scorecards, whether we agree with it or not. Ricci, look, like, I really believe in size bullying. I think that size really plays a difference, whether we want to admit it or not. The only time it doesn't is when grappling is involved. So you can argue that with Ricci, but like, she's not some top tier level wrestler. Her offensive grappling is good. She's shown good things. I've seen nothing but good there. I just don't think I don't think it's necessarily enough against Penne. And like you mentioned with Ricci and Lupi, another difference is Penne is more experienced. She's older, yeah, but she hasn't really shown that age so much in her fights. And she's more experienced. She's handled more of these fights. I just feel like Penne can grind out a decision here. I don't really want to play her money line, especially with it starting to climb her way. But I saw on Bet Online her decision prop is like plus 300. Now it's plus 330 on DraftKings. I'll wait to see what FanDuel has, and I'll probably drop a half unit on that. I think she can grind out a decision here. Can Ricci get a sub? Maybe. But if we go to decision, I'm going to assume it's Penne winning the fight. How about you, Manpreet?
I think it's kind of I largely agree with you as well. I think it's going to be a close fight. I wouldn't mind a Tabatha decision either, because I think she can get those top positions and she could potentially get that dub as well that way. Man, it's a close fight, like my guy Tristan says in there as well, right? Like the size disadvantage, that's a big thing as well. This is a stay away fight for me at the end of the day, but I'm going Ricci by decision.
Did you see what the props are? When you said that, I pulled them up. Did you see the Ricci by decision props?
I did not. They're
so ugly. Bet Online is minus 150. DraftKings is minus 115.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
That's hideous.
I'm good just sitting. I'm just good with sitting on the outside, if I'm being honest.
That's the smartest thing. Fireball and popcorn, right? As Clint would say.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, let's move right along. Oh, for this next one, I'm gonna have some fun. All right. We've got Alesksei Oleinik versus Ilir Latifi.
So over this fight.
Oh, this is so good. Oleinik 60, 16-1. I love this stuff, man. 45 years old, 6'2", 80-inch reach. I have him training at let me see real quick. I've got him at an American Top Team, actually, which is pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. And then Latifi on the other side is 15-8-0. He's 39 years old, so he's not 40, but he's just about there. 5'10", so he's 4 inches shorter. He's got a 75-inch reach, so he's giving up 5 inches in reach here. And yeah, I mean, I'll start this one off. I'm just going to play Oleinik by sub for like a half unit and call it a day. There's no reason not to. Oleinik has 47 submission wins. I understand everybody's been saying Latifi doesn't have a neck. Latifi doesn't have a neck.
That was literally the first thing that went through my head.
You don't need a neck for every submission, and Oleinik is just a madman. Yeah. And look, if we were talking about a striker versus Oleinik, then, you know, if the striker can keep it on the feet, they're going to win that fight. But Latifi is a wrestler, so his comfort zone is taking Oleinik down. But you take Oleinik down, and in my opinion, you're giving him what he wants, because he's either going to take you down or he's going to pull guard. So once we're there, do I think Oleinik can pull a sub? I absolutely do. Do I think Latifi can grind out a decision? That's why I'm only going to play Oleinik by sub. Oleinik by sub on Bet Online is plus 300. I'm going to see what FanDuel offers me there. I'm thinking they're going to give me a little bit better, but I'll probably drop like a half unit on there. I think that Latifi, if he's going to win this, he has to grind out a decision. And if you're going to tell me that we're on the ground for the better part of 15 minutes, I'll take my chance with Oleinik. How about you, Manpreet?
This is such an ugly fight. You know, I mean, it is so ugly. And the reason I said I'm over is because they've been booked at least 2 or 3 times in the past. And I've had to break down this goddamn fight so many times that I'm just sick of it. I just want it to be over with. The pick that I made the first time I broke down this fight, the pick that I made the second time I broke down this fight, it's all going to be the same. There's so many different outcomes that are possible in this fight. I completely see where you're coming from. Plus 300 on Oleinik is a great price for the situation that he's put up against this weekend. But little Latifi still, in my opinion, has that knockout power and that early speed burst advantage where he could potentially land on the chin of Oleinik and put him down. That's a lot to bank on, especially at minus 175, which is why I'm not making a bet, nor am I saying that this should be, the spot that we put our money on. But like, it's absolutely possible that Latifi can just starch him right off the jump. Daniel Cormier has always said that Latifi is one of the strongest guys that he's ever sparred with, right, or ever wrestled with. So I find it hard, like, it would be hard for me to see this fight hit the ground unless Latifi really wants it on the ground. And I think he's going to want to try to keep it on the feet and, probably find that chin of Oleinik. I'll say this about Oleinik too. The man has started to have confidence in his striking, like where he just throws big bombs until he can get his hands around you and then drag you to the ground. But he's just accepted that he's going to be eating shots on the way in, which makes him so much more dangerous because he can take a couple on the chin and keep moving forward and eventually close that distance with his own big punches and then get you to the ground. Perfect example, the Fabricio Verdum fight, right? Everybody thought Verdum was just a deadlier, younger version of Alesksei Oleinik, but it turned out to be wrong that night because Verdum was a sack of shit that night. But I like Latifi here. Latifi round one knockout, but I want nothing to do with it because it is easily the most volatile fight on the card. Enjoy the car crash.
Yeah, man. I mean, the only pushback I would give is I think that Oleinik has actually shown a pretty decent jab, especially in the Spivak fight. And if he lets that go against a much, much smaller guy in Latifi, that can be very useful. Do I think he's going to get a knockout? Hell no. No, I don't. But I think it could be a useful weapon. But we'll move on to a way more fun fight. We've got Mike Davis versus Viacheslav Borshchev. Davis is 9-2-0. He's 29 years old, 6 feet tall with a 72.5-inch reach. And I do believe that Fusion XL is the correct camp for him. Slava on the other side, my guy, is 6-2-0, 30 years old, 5'11" with a 69-inch reach. So he's given up, what is that, 1 inch in height. He's given up about 4 inches in reach, training out of Team Alpha Male. Man, Pri, why don't you start us off, man?
This is a fun fight. I've been excited to see Mike Davis finally make his return. The guy's been out of the cage for over 20 months. Last time we saw him was a war against Mason Jones. Fun fighter, great striking, great wrestling. He seems to be the complete package, honestly. He's just got to be a little bit more active. That's it. Now, the reason he was out of competition for 2021
we just started the fight, bro. Give me a second, bro. What the fuck? All right,
shout out
bro.
to my guy JD. I think he's a guy that comes into my chats as well.
Yeah, bro. We're gonna get to. I'm gonna answer you. I'm sorry, bro.
I even looked at the Twitter page too. I was just about to say something about it as well. I love you, JD. Yeah, the reason he was out of for 2021 is because he had a bunch of surgeries and stuff that he was recovering from. And then at the end of 2021, he was ready for a fight, and then he got COVID. And he said they got so bad that it like fucked up his cardio. Like he could not get his cardio in check. And then he said maybe a month or two later, shout out JD. He goes, a month or two later, I managed to get it back, but then they wanted me to fight in London. He didn't want to fly because like the war, and he had a bunch of other like family issues going on. So that's why he's been out for so long. Now he finally gets a favorable fight here against Borshchev, where we've seen Borshchev struggle against a type of game plan that Mike Davis can implement in the spot. My only concern is like if cardio or COVID did really fuck up Mike Davis's cardio that bad, like how much does he really think it's back, and how much is it actually going to be back when he goes in there and fights a guy like Borshchev? Now everybody thinks what Mark Diakese did to Borshchev is easy, but that is not easy. 11 takedowns. That means Borshchev got up at least 10 times. He got 11 takedowns, controlled him for 12 minutes, but Borshchev was making him work the entire time. And Diakese, solid veteran, can go that hard 15 if he needs to. Davis has shown he can go 15 minutes as well, but given all of the out-of-cage circumstances here, I'm a little bit concerned about what his cardio will actually look like when if he can't get Borshchev out of there early, and two, if he's going to have to try to replicate that Mark Diakese game plan. because people just remember and they're just like, yeah, he's going to be able to do the same thing. But think a little bit harder than that, especially with everything that Mike Davis has been through: surgeries, injuries, cardio to the point that it's fucking up his lungs, or sorry, COVID to the extent that it's fucking up his lungs.
Sorry, Manpreet, is COVID what JD was talking about with the Twitter thing?
No. So what JD was talking about was he posted a picture of, Beast Boy 2.0. Like it's just him and looking in better shape to a certain extent, right? Like it's like the guy looks in good shape already. Now he just looks in good shape again, but like maybe even better essentially. But it's hard to like take physique and be like, just because he looks good doesn't mean that it's going to translate into the cage. I don't like to make those correlations, right? Like to a certain extent, you got to just be like, okay, it's a picture. Still taking Davis to win this fight. Still think Davis will be able to grind this one out. But should this go deep, should he not be able to finish Borshchev, Borshchev is live to take over later and possibly find a finish of his own late in this fight. Borshchev, round 3. I haven't seen what that line is yet, but Borshchev live might be a way to go in as well. But just keep an eye on Mike Davis's cardio, see how he looks, and then bet accordingly. He might look fine. He might look like the best version we've ever seen him. But this is just something that I think people need to keep in mind, considering everything he's been through outside of the cage. If he was minus 120, minus 130, I'd like to take a shot here. Minus 180, getting a little bit out of range for me personally, with all the concerns that I have in this matchup. But the pick is still Mike Davis decision.
So, Manpreet, if I told you, like, guess what Borshchev by KO in round 3 is?
I gotta think it's like plus 1,200, plus 1,400,
plus 2,200 on Bet Online. So if you think that's live, you should hit that. But yeah, I'll say this. So I went into this fight. I was a little late. I was focusing on regionals, and I saw money come in on Borshchev. And off the top of my head, I was like, I'm gonna be on Davis, because I remember backing Borshchev in all of his fights. I'm a Slava truther. I love this guy. I remember watching him fight Bush, right? Dakota Bush. And Dakota Bush was finding way too much success on the feet for me to be comfortable with, because Slava is literally, I believe it's either kickboxing or a boxing master of sport in Russia, which is no joke. It means you have to have over like 100-something amateur bouts. He's shown how legit he is, even in that Bush fight, right? Like I just mentioned, Bush looked like he was winning. Slava landed one time to the body, and Bush went down. And that's my thing here. So I wanted to back Davis, but does he grapple? Yeah, he can. Is it something he does like Diakese does? No. Diakese has shown before, even though he's a supposed kickboxer, one of the things he does best is grappling. He's a good wrestler. Diakese's a good wrestler. Davis has only shown all right wrestling. And if you tell me this fight's going to be on the feet for the better part of 15 minutes, I can't back Davis. Like, Slava can land anything at any time. So the bet that I think is super interesting is, so if you pull up the fight, you got Slava right now at plus 155. That's the best you can get. I'm looking at Slava decision, no action. It's the same price. It's plus 155. And you're getting insurance here. Because personally, if you tell me we're going to decision without telling me who wins, I'm going to think it's Davis more than likely, because he's the one with more weapons. He's the one who can mix in the grappling. But if you tell me we're finishing inside the distance, I'm going to probably think it's Slava. So plus 155, same price as money line, but I get insurance for something I don't think is going to happen, his decision. I like it. But yeah, we can move on to our next fight. For this one, we've got John Castaneda, Sexy Mexi, 19-5-0, 30 years old. I love his nickname so much, man. 5'6" with the 69-inch reach. And let me check what I got. I have the Academy for his camp. That's what they have on Tapology. And then on the other side, we've got Daniel Santos. He's 9-2-0, 27 years old, so he's 3 years younger. 5'7". He's 1 inch taller, which I don't know if that actually makes sense, but we're going to see. And he's got a 67-inch reach, so he's got a 2-inch reach disadvantage. And I'll start this one off. And like, the only reason I said we'll see about his height is because we have a lot of unknowns when it comes to UFC measuring. Jairzinho Rosenstruck, 6'3", He's like my height at 5'9". Like, let's be real here. So sometimes it's incorrect. I don't know that Santos is going to be bigger than Castaneda here. It does seem to me that Castaneda will be the bigger guy. I'm probably going to lay off on this fight, to be honest. I went into it wanting to back Santos, but then I saw his... Look, I understand he went against Julio Arce, who's a very legit talent, and I would probably back Arce against Castaneda. But the big issue he had there, right? He had pressure. He was putting on the pressure. He just couldn't land. He couldn't land for the life of him because of that reach. I think his accuracy there was like 27, 28%. It was something abysmal. That's because of the reach. He had a hard time closing the distance. I don't think it had anything to do with him being short notice. And the thing with Castaneda is, I think a lot of people that are backing Castaneda are kind of ignoring the fact that, like, I think he was losing to Eddie Wineland until he knocked him out. And the way I broke down that fight was, I think Eddie Wineland wins unless he gets caught by the counter. What happened? Eddie Wineland was winning till he got caught by the counter. I don't know that Santos is safe from the same thing. I mean, Santos can let it go all day, but if he's missing, Castaneda is going to land. Castaneda has shown he is a good striker. He is a decent grappler, especially defensively. I don't think that Santos is going to try to grapple, but if he does, I don't think he's going to find success. And I do lean Castaneda. I don't like the price tag one bit. It's been moving a bit. Like, now you can get like minus 185 Castaneda. I think I'm going to sit off of it. If I can get like minus 150 by some miracle, I'll play that. Otherwise, I'm good to just watch this fight. How about you, Manpreet?
Yeah, I like a lot of the things that you laid out about this fight. But the one thing that I'm going to slightly disagree with is the comparing the striking of Castaneda and Arce. I think you're doing yourself a slight disservice there. I think that Arce is one of the better strikers in this division, and his ability to hit without getting hit. Like, the guy has a 69% striking defense rate. Like, that's very high, especially for a division like this. Castaneda, not as refined of a striker, in my opinion, as Julio Arce. He's a good striker. Like, we obviously saw him put that pressure on Miles Johns, and it was good for him. But like the Eddie Wineland fight, like some of the Nathaniel Wood fight, when you're able to take charge in the striking realm, you're going to be able to kind of control where this fight goes against Castaneda. And I feel like a striker like Santos, who's as wild and aggressive as he is, I think we'll be able to see him land those big shots on Castaneda. And even if he doesn't, he'll be the one kind of pushing him back. And I just don't think that Castaneda's striking is good enough to replicate what Arce was doing in terms of the counters. He'll land a couple good strikes here and there. I feel good about Santos's durability. Like, I know he's going to have to take some shots to implement the style that he is, but to get him at plus 160 in a matchup like this is too intriguing for me to pass up. Like, given the skill, like, there isn't as massive a skill difference as the odds indicate here, especially with how these guys fight. And I think this could also have to do with some recency bias in a sense, right? You don't often see where two guys that are, one guy's on a win, one guy's on a loss. Not often do we get those types of matchups. We usually get winners against winners and losers against losers. Here we get Castaneda off his best performance, probably of his career, against Miles Johns as a big underdog himself that night, against Daniel Santos, who just got wiped on the boards by Julio Arce. So people might be a little bit low on Santos because of that performance and fail to look at the actual technical aspects of the fight, which is where I think Santos could come out ahead and really put it on Castaneda here. Maybe get a knockout. Castaneda's only been ever knocked out once in his career, and it was very early. But I think Santos will control a large majority of this fight. And if anybody is going to grapple, I think it's going to be the Castaneda side, but I don't think he'll be successful in it, as Santos, regional tape, he's going up against Russian beasts and holding his own. So I think that his takedown defense will be good enough here against Castaneda, so he can keep it in the striking realm where he'll be able to beat him to the punch, maybe knock him out, maybe win by decision. But we're already getting a good enough price tag on the money line. Dog of the night, baby. Daniel Santos. Let's go.
You're playing him, Manpreet?
Already got plus 162.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, if you told me to play a side right now, it would be Santos. That's like going into this fight, like we were talking about, like looking at the odds before we tape the fights, right? For me, like, I don't so much look at the odds. I just consider, like, what's my bias going into this fight? Like, who do I think is going to win? And my bias going into this fight was Santos. I thought Santos was going to win this fight. I'm gonna back Santos. I love that underdog money. I'm pretty sure I backed Arce in that fight, Julio Arce, but I think like I remember being really stressed out, not even being convinced that he won that decision. So to me, like that's a good sign, right? And then I watched the tape back and I liked a lot about Santos. Like you said, I mean, like I said earlier, he does miss a lot, but he's also at a shoot box. We just saw a shoot box kid last night. Oliveira was bugging out about him. Mendonca, I backed him. It's a good hit there.
Easy cash.
He's so good, man.
I can't wait for that guy in the
hyped
UFC.
For him. I'm so hyped for him.
Yeah, but kid looks good.
You know, that I was kind of thinking today because like the line was like plus 180 yesterday. Yeah. So I was like thinking, like, did it drop because of that? Because then Mendonca won, and then Oliveira was screaming about shootbox.
Yeah, I don't know how many people are putting that into their analysis. Like, I think it's a good thing. It's a big pro to have that type of momentum on fight week as well. But
not that much.
Yeah. But it's a good thing, man. That gym is blowing up, man. They got a lot of guys coming out of that gym that are making waves. So maybe Daniel Santos is the next one.
All right. Well, I'm hyped to talk about this one too, because I have two spots I'm looking at that might be different than others. We've got Sodiq Yussuf versus Don Shainis. Sodiq Yussuf is 12-2-0. He's 29 years old, 5'9" with a 71-inch reach. And I do have him training out of Team Lloyd Irvin. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Locke.
That is correct.
And on the other side, we've got Don Shameless Shainis, 12-3-0, 31 years old. So he is 2 years older, 5'6". He's 3 inches shorter. And he's got a 66.5-inch reach. So let's call it, what is that? Let's say he's 67. Let's call it a 4-inch reach advantage. And he is, disadvantage. And he is training out of, I've got Glory MMA. Is that correct?
Yeah, he's I actually even hit up James today to be like, hey, you working with this guy? And he said, yeah. So he'll have James in his corner.
Awesome.
Most likely.
All right. So I'm super hyped to hear what you have to say about this, man. For you, what are you thinking?
I don't want to say I've had a bias against Sodiq Yussuf or anything for the majority of his career. Like I acknowledge the guy is a good fighter. He is a good, solid fighter, great striking. That's where he's going to have the advantage in this fight for sure. But my issue with him in the past has been he seems at times to be a little bit low volume and allows fights to kind of just pass them by. Unless he's able to land a knockdown, unless he's able to knock his opponent out, he makes fights, kind of close more often than not. The Andre Fili fight, he unanimously gave up that third round because even adding grappling into his fights starts to tax him, starts to slow him down a little bit. You see him very much slow down in the third round against Fili, even after he was the one that had grappling success in that second round and won that second round. The Arnold Allen fight, I backed Arnold Allen there because I expected Allen to be slightly more active. And not only was he more active, he knocked down Sodiq Yussuf and he took him down twice as well to secure that victory for himself. What I'm trying to get to is, okay, I'm like, everybody's just saying Sodiq's going to go murder this guy. They're going to go murder this guy. And then I'm like, okay, let's see what his tape is like. And one of the first things I came across was the fact that he is a 2 promotion champion right now. He's a champion over in FAC and he's a champion over in Cage Titans, which are decent level regional feeder leagues. I got to give them some respect. And then watching his style, the guy likes to grapple, right? He likes to take his opponents down, likes to grind them out, look for a submission, look for something on top. And then in terms of his striking, he really likes to attack that calf kick. Those are like 2 of my favorite things for a fighter to showcase in their fights. Good grappling, and the bonus is calf kicks. This guy calf kicks regularly in his fights. Those 2 alone make me feel like he's a little bit live in this spot, especially at plus 625. Like, you don't need a lot to convince me on plus 625, right? Like, you really don't. And a guy with Yussuf who I already feel like has flaws in his game for the fact that he lets fights slip them by every now and then or pass them by. Don Shainis could push the pressure here a little bit and slowly chip away at this fight. Let's not forget, 2 weeks ago, one of James's guys, Trey Ogden, pulls off a big upset of his own. So maybe they can, maybe a proper game plan can go in there and give Yussuf some trouble. The official prediction that I actually went with for my podcast was Yussuf by knockout. Like, I just think he is that much faster and better on the feet. But there are ways for Shainis to make this fight a lot closer than minus 1,000 indicates on Sodiq Yussuf. I wouldn't on my worst day bet minus 1,000 on Sodiq Yussuf. Maybe his knockout prop minus 150, but even then we don't really like betting chalk on specific props like that. Perfect example is the Gunnar Nelson via sub over Takashi Sato from a couple months ago. I know everybody and their mother was on that, but the bookies got away with one there. Something could happen here in the Shainis fight where Shainis could make this one a little bit closer. So all week I've been considering a half unit stab on Shainis. Haven't gotten to the window to do it yet. Keeping my eye on it. I think the over 1.5 is not a bad line either. I think it's around minus 160-ish. I do see this fight going into that second and third round. But the only play I'm considering, but haven't done it yet, half unit on Shainis up. Anything better than 625. You can maybe even get 700 or 800 by the time the fight rolls around. But Yussuf should knock him out in the first or second round. I could absolutely see that.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, obviously there's not much to add, but I'll say this. This fight kind of reminds me of two fights. It reminds me of a guy we're seeing on this card, Santos versus Arce. And it reminds me of Jay Perrin versus Mario Batista. And the reason I'm saying that is because we're getting guys coming from the regional seed who are facing good competition there, showing good stuff, coming in against guys on short notice who are better than them technically. And it just really reminds me of that. And I think that the best bet here, I think the best bet is over 1.5 because I do think Sodiq wins. I think Sodiq's better everywhere, way better competition. I mean, for God's sake, he was supposed to fight Giga Shikadze for this fight. Like, I mean, the difference here, it's crazy. Shainis, I think, I love him. I think he shows a lot of good things, but I think he needs to go to bantamweight. If he's going to, at this size, he's got to go to bantamweight. There, I think he'll be a problem. I think he's got all the technique he needs. I just think he's going to be undersized here. And because of that, I like the over 1.5, and it's climbing right now, like the opposite way. So we might even get a better price come fight time. Everybody thinks Sodiq just starches him. And the other thing I'm looking at is Sodiq by decision. If you look on it for like DraftKings, it's plus 180. It's plus 175 on BetMGM. But it's plus 260 on Bet Online. And at plus 260, I kind of like that. So what I'm considering is a half unit bet on Sodiq Yussuf by decision at plus 260. And I think I'm going to hit that over 1.5. Whatever it ends up at, I'm going to hit it to win 1 unit. And that's what I'm thinking too.
Even Shainis decision plus 1,200, just saying.
Plus 1,200? Yeah. And that's right. That's with that's DraftKings. I bet you FanDuel is going to give you even something better. I mean, if you think he can, I guess he can outvalue him and like kind of like mix in the grappling and make it difficult, right?
Yeah. Like I think he could. I think he presents more tools, but Yussuf's tools are probably just a little bit more lethal at this moment. Like I think that's the difference here. And again, I'm trying to make a case for a plus 600. You know, I mean, it's
not hard to. Not
you gotta
hard
grasp
to.
at straws, but like
plus 750 now.
Wow,
and climbing.
I wouldn't even be surprised if he hits plus 1,000 by fight time. And if that's the case, like I'll definitely have at least like a 0.5 unit stab on that. Like,
yeah,
just for shits.
That kind of reminds me of like Kama versus Devontae. Remember that one?
Yes. Yeah.
Kama was a huge underdog just cause pretty much. And he got his own knockout. Yep. And the only reason I'm like mentioning it is because like Devontae's pretty like at least at that time was pretty one-dimensional in the striking.
Yeah.
And so is kind of Sodiq, right? He's pretty one-dimensional. He needs that striking to get off to win the fight.
He's just low volume. That's my only issue with him. If he can pick it up a little bit more and he can showcase a better cardio game or cardio performance to me, then I'll be a little bit more sold on him.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, let's move on to this next one. We've got Raoni Barcelos versus Trevin Jones. Barcelos is 16-3-0. He's 35 years old, one of these Brazilian wonders that looks like they're 50 years old, but still fights like they're 18. He's 5'7" with a 67-inch reach, and I believe he's training out of Refit Pro Fighters. Correct me if I'm wrong. And Trevin Jones on the other side, he's 13-8-0, 32 years old, 3 years younger, 5'7" as well with the 70-inch reach. So he's got a 3-inch reach advantage. And right now I've got him training out of Drysdale, BJJ, at least based off of his Instagram. And yeah, I mean, I'll start this one off. This one really comes down to, for me, I think Barcelos has him covered everywhere. Other than a lucky KO shot, I just don't see what Trevin Jones has to offer here. People have spoken about Trevin Jones' grappling, his BJJ. Raoni Barcelos is what, a third-degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I believe. Like, I'm sorry, that's not. I don't think that's going to be a path here, man. And then if we're saying we're stuck on the feet, I still favor Barcelos unless Jones gets his lucky shot. I personally don't like betting on a lucky KO kind of guy. So I backed Barcelos here. I took him for my round robin fairly early. I'm going to pull up the odds right now. Let's see. Minus 195 for the round robin. And then money line, I played him 2 units at minus 200. I just think he has Trevin Jones covered everywhere. Like I said, other than that KO shot from Jones, it's always live. He was losing to Batista, in my opinion. Knocked him the fuck out. Clearly losing to Valiev, knocked him the fuck out. So that's always there. But I do think Barcelos wins. How about you, Manfred?
Bro, I don't even need to add anything to that because I absolutely agree with everything you said there. Yeah, Barcelos, like as long as he doesn't have a brain fart like he had against Timur Valiev, where he just didn't throw, or Victor Henry was just on the pace and pressure. I just don't see that type of style here from Trevin Jones either. So Honey should have like a Khalid Taha type performance when he went out there and just squashed him over 15 minutes. Excuse me. But yeah, I like Barcelos here, and I don't even mind eating the chalk straight up at minus 230.
Yeah, I feel like minus 230 isn't even that bad compared to what Randy Brown is, but
yeah, exactly.
We'll get there soon. So moving on, we got Randy Brown versus another Brazilian wonder. I mean, this guy's like 80 years old, Francisco Trinaldo. Randy Brown is 15-4-0, 32 years old. He's 6'3", 78-inch reach. And for his camp, I've got Budokan MMA. Locke, do you know any better for that one? Because I'm not positive.
I think that's what it is. It's somewhere in. He's actually out in your ways. Like I think he's out in that New York area somewhere.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I know he's from Queens, which is pretty cool to see. But
yeah.
All right. So on the other side, we got Trinaldo, 28-8-0. He's 44 years old. Multiply that by 2. He's 88 years old. He's 5'9", so he's given up. What is that? That's oh man, math. Okay. 3 and then 6 inches. He's 6 inches shorter. He's got an 8-inch reach disadvantage. That's disgusting. And I've got him at American Top Team right now. So, Manpreet, what are you thinking, man?
The odds are absolutely on the nose here. That's what I think. Like, I think Randy Brown just touches him up from distance. We saw him kind of have like minor slip ups against Chaos Williams and almost ended up paying for it. He has to worry about that same type of thing here from Trinaldo because even though he's 44 years old, the guy is 5-1 in his last 6 fights. Like he's still picking up victories. So, Trinaldo is still dangerous. Trinaldo KO is always live, but I think we'll see a very disciplined Brown, just as we saw him against 2 heavy hitters in his last 2 fights, like Jared Gooden and Chaos Williams. I think we'll see him keep it safe and just outpoint him over 50 minutes and win a decision here. So yeah, give me Randy Brown. Randy Brown by decision is the way I would play it personally, but like a finish is live as well. I'm thinking we're going to see a safe Randy Brown, but his speed advantage might be too much that Trinaldo can't keep up with, because that's what we saw Salikov beat Trinaldo with, is just speed. He didn't knock him out, but he was just faster to the punch and able to get to him. Now we got Randy Brown, who in my opinion is a more dangerous version of Salikov and faster and probably hits harder. He could possibly find that knockout too, but I don't know, man. He's got to play it very safe. So give me Brown. Don't mind him parlayed either, but I think he touches up Trinaldo over 15 minutes here.
Yeah, man. I mean, Brown is one of my bigger pieces here. Anybody who follows me knows. At Couch Warrior Pod, if you don't, post all my picks as I make them. But I got Randy Brown at minus 285 for money line. I played him, I believe, 3 units, and I round robined him a little bit earlier. Oh my goodness, at minus 280. And yeah, I mean, look, he's got all the measurable advantages clearly, and he's younger. He's the better striker, in my opinion. I don't expect either guy to really get grappling success here. I think we're going to be on the feet for the most part, and I think it's Brown all day. Can he get knocked out? Yes. Can he tweak out a little bit? Yeah, he could, but I think he should pull through. He's definitely, out of all the favorites, like, he's definitely my favorite one to get the W. But yeah, I'm on Randy Brown as well.
Hey, Mike, some might call him a lock of the night play. I don't know. I've just heard that around the block.
Lock of the night? Are the competitions done, Lock? They're done, right?
The dog of the night challenges are done. The lock of the night one is still going until the end of the year.
Okay, so I got to make sure to put my picks in. I thought it was done, but
get your shit in, dog.
For dog of the night, I know you can't keep track of all our picks, bro. I was in 5th place, and I knew I had to take a huge ass swing. I did the math. The only way I could get any money out of it was if somehow Joe Pyfer lost to Amidovsky.
Oh yeah, you were the one of the few guys that took Amidovsky.
I took that swing, and I was like,
funnily enough, man. Like in those types of competitions, like guys at the end of the competition will more often than not choose the same dog. So like you have to keep that in mind and try to be unique as well, right? Like obviously, if the biggest dog is there, everybody's going to try to pick him to try to close that gap, and then they don't take into consideration everybody that's ahead of them that's also taking that person at the same odds. So just for future reference, just try to be unique if you are in that spot where you need a big spot to try to close the gap and get in the money.
Yeah, man, I'm trying to get that dub. Now that you told me lock of the night is still going, I'm coming back, baby. Oh, I know I'm down bad right now.
you got a solid 3 months of events.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Let's go.
By the way, I love that shit, man. Thank you for doing that stuff. I know you got some bullshit for that, but thank you.
It is what it is. People that know, they know. That's all I give a fuck about.
Yeah, man. Thank you for running that shit. I appreciate it big time. It's a good time.
Yes,
but for this last fight, we've got Mackenzie Dern versus Yan Jianan. Dern is 12-2-0. She's 29 years old, 5'4" with a 63-inch reach. And I believe she's still out of Black House. No, she's out of RVCA.
Yeah.
And on the other side, we've got Yan. She's 15-3-0. She's another 33-year-old, 5'5", 1 inch taller, 63-inch reach. And I do believe Team Alpha Male is correct there. And Manpreet, start us off for the main event, man.
There, before I even get into that, though, there is a time in which that I used to call it the RCVA gym as well. And then somebody got me hip to it. It's actually called Ruka. That is how it is pronounced.
It's what?
Ruka. Like RUCAA or RUCA.
Oh, yeah. I'm weak. We just think it's the letters, but it's
me too. That bro, I was going through so many years of my life saying
that whole way.
As well. And then somebody's like, just so you know, it's actually called Ruka. I'm like, oh shit. And then like you'll hear Luke Rockhold talk about it. He trains there. Michael Bisping used to train there. Chris Cyborg trains there. But yeah, you'll hear them say Ruka. It is Ruka.
That's actually the craziest thing I've heard all week.
I got you, bro. I told you, I got you, right? All right. Now getting into this matchup, classic striker versus grappler, right? Like it's obvious as fuck who's looking to get this fight to the ground, and it's obvious who's looking to keep this on the feet. It is who can impose their style more on the other person, and in part, a lot of it, yeah, exactly. There we go. Shout out to Addicted to Combat, but Mackenzie Dern, if I'm not mistaken, she has a 6% takedown accuracy rate. Her wrestling sucks. 1%. Is it 1%?
No, 1 takedown.
1 takedown. Might as well be 1%.
1 fucking takedown, I'm pretty sure.
Her takedowns are horrible, but she always finds a way to finagle her way into like.
Nah, I lied. I'm sorry, Locke. 3 takedowns.
3 takedowns. All right. Still, it's whatever. Regardless, she's only hitting them at about 6% or 7%, whatever the hell it is. Regardless, she struggles to get the fight to the ground in a conventional way, but she always finds an unconventional way of going about it. Like the Tisha Torres fight, round 2, she jumps on her to try to pull guard, and then she starts cranking on a Kimura. That ultimately gives her a position. Tisha Torres, very well schooled in jiu-jitsu, very solid all-around fighter, and we saw her keep up with it. Here against Xiaonan, she's going to have to worry more so about the power that's coming back away. Like this could look easily like the Marina Rodriguez fight, where Dern is not able to close the distance. Dern is not able to get the fight to the ground, and she just eats shots for 25 minutes. And for that reason, like I think Yan is live in this fight. Plus 195 is a number I personally got in on myself, but like I think this line is way too wide. Dern, of course, this fight could be done if this fight does hit the mat, but like you have to get the fight to the mat to begin with. And given that now Zhao Nan is getting more and more comfortable over there at Team Alpha Male, gotta believe that her grappling will slowly start to show improvements, even if it's to the point where she just is able to keep the fights on the feet. She can go classic Chuck Liddell style, sprawl and brawl. That's what I'm hoping here from Yan Zhaonan. So I took her money line. Like if Dern gets this to the ground, of course the submission is live. Like if you are betting Yan at all, taking Dern by submission is the perfect hedge opportunity that you can give for yourself. But I took Yan money line, considering the slight sprinkle on KO at plus 700, a line that I should have cashed against Karolina Kovacevic, because that was the night that Kovacevic tore her tear duct from all the punches she was getting from Yan Xiaonan, and the closest stop in that fight. Almost cast a goddamn ticket there, but we can possibly do it here against Mackenzie Dern. Yan is a beast with her striking. Yan, when she connects on Dern, it is slowly going to break her, down, and then Yan Xiaonan should be able to get her hand raised, whether it's decision, whether it's finish. I'm thinking more so finish. Also, the line that I'm kind of considering might be a little bit too chalky for me right now, but I saw on DraftKings they had fight doesn't go to decision at minus 190. For some reason, I feel like that could be a good play, but just in the back of my head, I'm thinking Yan might just try to keep it safe and just pitter patter her from the outside and just stay like that. Try not to exert too much energy. Try not to get overzealous. Try not to get taken down, and that will likely look with her just pitter pattering her from the outside. So, Yan Zhaonan by TKO is what I'm going to go with, and I do have a 1 unit play on her as well.
So, other than the finish, great minds think alike. Fools never differ. I personally think Yan wins by decision. That's what I'm thinking. But
I could see that.
Like I mentioned earlier, I don't like backing fighters who have to depend on a knockout. I also don't like backing fighters who have to depend on a submission. If Mackenzie Dern wrestled, we'd be having a completely different conversation, and I'd be all over that. I went into this fight. I do consume other MMA podcasts. I love that shit. I listen to everybody I could. And I hear Mackenzie Dern inside the distance. I went into this fight. I was thinking that makes sense to me. And I think a lot of us are just getting clouded up a little bit from the Carla Esparza fight.
Yes.
Everybody's looking at that and saying, oh, look at Yan. She can get out grappled. She can get finished on the ground. Carla Esparza is a better grappler than we say she is. And we're only saying this now because of that terrible, terrible fight she had with Rose. Before that, people were making arguments for her being a great grappler. We're short-minded. That's what we are as MMA bettors. But realistically, Esparza is a good grappler. And also, bad days happen. Yan has not shown that kind of deficiency except for that fight. I think for this one, I think she's going to be able to keep it up. I think when Dern does get, like, it's 5 rounds. You know, people make a legitimate argument. 5 rounds for Dern to find that sub. But you're just telling me that Yan has to survive for 5 rounds from a submission and she's going to win the fight.
Because she's going to be the one that's damaging, right?
Yeah, she's for sure the better striker. I mean, Mackenzie Dern's been improving big time in the striking, but right now, what does she have? She's got a jab, and she throws in the 1-2 sometimes. That's all she has. I mean, you got to give her credit. It looks good, and it's working a little bit, but like at the end of the day, Yan was hanging with Marina Rodriguez. She was making that a close fight. I had Yan there. I thought that was a decent bet. But yeah, I think she keeps it up here. I think she wins by decision. I was seeing on DraftKings like plus 300. I'm thinking FanDuel will give me like plus 330. I'll hit that. But on the Dern side, I do sometimes hedge with my crazy props. And I'm thinking like, all right, if Dern does get a submission, right, Manpreet, do you think she's going to get in around 1 and 2, or do you think she's more likely to get in 3, 4, or 5?
I think if she were to get a submission, it would be later in the fight.
So I agree. And Mackenzie Dern by sub. So we're talking bet online. These are not going to be the best odds. I think FanDuel will give better ones. Dern by sub in round 5 is plus 3,300 right now. Dern by sub in round 4 is plus 2,000. And Dern by sub in round 3 is plus 950. And like, I feel like if you think Dern wins this fight, just bet those. That's what I'm thinking. Like, I don't think she wins the decision. She's not going to like wrestle.
I think she could potentially get an early finish as well, though. Like that's the other thing.
Too, yeah.
I do think like it could happen. But
that's why you only sprinkle, brother.
Yeah.
That's why you only sprinkle. Plus 2,000, plus 3,300. You put 0.1 unit to win 2 units, 3.3 units.
Yeah. No, I get it. I'm right there with you. I want to also say this, and a lot of people may not like me saying something like this, but like if Dern was the underdog, she might get my money as well. Right? Like she has that significant advantage over Jan on the ground as well. It is all the odds dependent. And given the odds that we have right now, I think Jan is the side, just given the advantages she has. But like I may still predict Jan, but not better if she was the favorite here. That's another way of going about it. But Jan should win this fight, plus 190. Great line. Like Addicted to Combat said as well, we probably got a little bit too eager, and we got in that plus 190, plus 195, because I'm seeing plus 200, plus 205 now as well. So eager beavers over here.
Yeah, man, it's looking like it might keep climbing. I mean, if it gets to a point where it's like plus 220 or something, I'll probably play that over a decision just in case.
Yeah.
But Prince of Mischief, real quick, saying, can someone verify if she's on a 10-year winning streak? When you said that, I pulled it up on Tapology. It appears to be the case, yes, until she lost to Carla Esparza.
The big part of that also is between 2010 and 2015, she had no fights. Her last time she fought was October 30th, 2010, and then she came back in July 2015. So
October 30th is my birthday.
Sorry?
October 30th is my birthday.
Hey, mine is October 22nd. Let's go.
Let's go.
My birthday is on the day of 280.
Scorpio.
I love it. You know what? I'm actually a Libra because I am the day before it changes to Scorpio. That's been my whole life. I've always been like, I'm Scorpio or Libra.
That's some bullshit, man. That's some bullshit.
Libra, though. But I'm getting fucked up on my birthday while watching that fight. I think I'm going to do like a live watch party and just get shit-faced on camera and just watch the fights.
I already told my girlfriend, I was like, yo, forget what actual day my birthday's on. UFC 280. That's my birthday, okay?
Yo, and it's an early card too. I love it. I think like 11 a.m. prelim start time.
They always do that for Khabib and his boys. All right.
I'm down.
Manpreet, tell me, who are you thinking wins that fight?
I'm leaning Islam. I am really leaning Islam there. I think we gotta put into check, the Charles Oliveira hype. Like, I love the guy. The guy is career best, and he's one of my favorite fighters to watch. But like Islam is different than Justin Gaethje. Islam is different than Dustin Poirier. Like, this guy is the best of the best right now, in my opinion. If Charles can submit that man or finish that man, Charles may be lightweight goat. Maybe lightweight goat. Exactly.
Khabib has to come back then.
I think Khabib's happy eating cheeseburgers over in fucking Russia. I think he's
but that's because he thinks Islam's about to take that strap. If you watch Khabib, anytime he coaches, this man is so stressed out.
Yeah.
He really takes this stuff personally, man.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I'm just hopeful. I love Khabib.
I'm thinking my play on that might be the under 2.5. But
there we go.
Prince of Mischief, perfect. That's how I feel as well.
Point. Yep.
That's how I feel as well.
Me
Brain
too.
says Islam, heart says Charles for sure. I like the Islam side there from a money perspective. Minus 150 is not a bad line either.
I think we're gonna get better too.
Jeez.
If we get to pick them.
No, it's not getting a pick 'em, dog.
That would be crazy.
There's no way.
I mean, look, on the feed,
130.
On the feet, it's Charles all day, to be honest.
Yes, correct.
So
But the
there's a
question is
little
for
bit of
how
an
long?
argument.
Question is
Like,
for how long? Like
but the other thing to think about, like Hamzat Gilbert Burns, right? Hamzat took it to the ground like twice, right? Didn't like it, kept it on the feet. I don't think Islam's going to do that, but I'm just trying to devil's advocate.
Oh man, that it's such it is one of my favorite fights of all time. Like pre-fight, like
That one
honestly,
or
like
this one?
that from Islam and Charles, that has
Oh,
got
okay,
to be
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
the fight that I'm like most excited for, stylistically speaking. Because I think the last time I felt this way, and honestly, like thinking as far as I can, John Jones against Daniel Cormier the first time. Everybody thought Daniel Cormier's wrestling was going to be too much for John Jones's wacky striking style, and Jones still proved that he was the shit. Like I feel like Islam Makhachev is Daniel Cormier going into this fight, although John Jones was seen as like the GOAT at the time already. But he's the one coming in as the challenger with a legit base. But Charles is a fucking dangerous motherfucker as well, man. Like I couldn't be excited. I think I'm gonna hit the under 2.5 or Islam. I'm gonna think about one of those.
You know what I got here?
What's that?
I'm so proud of it, bro. I'm so proud of it. So I'm going to be talking about it all the time. But I got the fight doesn't go the distance at minus 172.
I think I forgot where I saw it. Somebody said that. Somebody said it was, and then I looked at it, was minus 350.
Yeah, bro. Because I looked at it and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, there's no way.
Sense. And then I looked at Betway. Betway had it at minus 400. Yep. So I was like, okay, that makes more sense.
Yep. Empty the bank. Empty. Mom, I need some more money. Give me some money to put into the
literally. Mom, 5 units, Mom. 5 units. That's what we played.
I call your mom. Give me more money.
I was like 5 units. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because this way, I can sit back. I can cheer with my brain and my heart at the same time. I'll be happy with whoever wins.
Yeah.
As long as they kill each other. And I mean, can you imagine them actually going 5 rounds? What would that look like?
Oof. I think it would look like an Islam grind fest.
But Oliveira wouldn't let that happen. He's going to die or he's going to win, right?
Exactly. That's the difference. Yeah.
This is literally my problem half the time, Princeton Mischief. I feel you, brother. Someone asked me earlier, why don't you got Bellator bets in? That's why, bro. It takes some time. Yeah. But yeah, so that's a wrap. Thank you guys for tuning in. This was actually a blast for a shitty card, honestly, but we had a good time. And yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. I don't have a Contender Series show this week because there's no Contender Series, but it's looking like I am going to drop a Bellator video on Thursday, so make sure to check that out. I'll break down the fights. There's a few really dope spots, and honestly, this Bellator card might be just as exciting as this UFC card on the same night too, so I'm super hyped for it. And yeah, Manpreet, why don't you tell everybody where to find you? I mean, I'm almost positive anyone watching already knows you, but just in case. And also, thank you big time for coming on, bro. Like, I appreciate it so much.
And no worries, man. Honestly, I love hopping on with guys I've not even done it with before. Like we've seen each other around the spaces and you know, timelines and all that stuff. But to finally actually get to do shows with you guys as well, I really greatly appreciate it. And I always love doing it. Yeah, I mean, I don't care how many streams I gotta fucking do a day. I don't mind making time to go do some guest spots as well. In terms of where you guys can find me, simply put, at MMA LOTN, all social media platforms, YouTube, that's where you guys can find me. And my podcast, which is done editing, but we'll be processing after we finish this podcast here. I'll be updating my own solo podcast for the breakdowns for this card within the next 2 hours or so, I'll say, depending on how long it takes to produce or process. Sorry, but appreciate you again, Mike. Hit me up whenever, give me some good notice, and I'll be happy to make time out of the week to jump on with you. I had a great time, as you can obviously tell. The Penne had a great time. I'm sure you had a great time as well. But hopefully this all translates into us catching some tickets this weekend.
Appreciate you, bro. Man. We agreed for the most part. So yes, as long as we're both cashing, we should be good this weekend. But yeah, thank you, chat. Thank you guys all for watching and have a good one. Let's kill these bookies, baby.
Peace.